Hey ladies, I'm here with Miss Kamillya Hunter, another resident badass in the house, and I just wanted to chat with you guys a little bit about her new endeavor. She's been in the massage world for a long time, and we've all seen both of our progress going on in our careers, and now she has an awesome new, is it an official company now, Camilla, or is it?
It's still a subsidiary of Spa Analytics, so it's still under that umbrella. But
BBA.
yeah, future goals, it'll be on its own. Yeah.
Awesome. I love the new endeavor. Whenever I saw it on your group, I was like, I've got to interview you about this because it's such a great niche. And I know we're all about like having a niche and setting ourselves apart from the plethora of, coaches, mentors, therapists out there, like wanting to make a difference. But it's the Black Bodyworkers Association. And I read over your media kit. It looks great, but I want you to tell our audiences about it.
Well, sure. Well, thank you again for interviewing me, for having me. And you are absolutely right. Just over the past couple of years, 2, 3 years of watching your progress too, I'm definitely impressed and happy to see Badass Body Workers grow as much as it has as well. So congratulations to you. But yes, Black Body Workers Association is the newest endeavor under the Spa Analytics umbrella. Eventually, we are going to shift that over to a 501c3. But for now, we're just going to grow it. We're going to see, let the excitement build for it because we have a lot of great plans for it. So Black Body Workers Association is a professional association for spa, massage, yoga instructor, or yoga professionals, estheticians, if you identify as a body worker. And typically that ends up just being massage or mostly massage therapists. But Black Body Workers Association was created pretty much to assist professionals within this industry who are Black, obviously.
And working moms too.
As you can see, I'm on an interview with the wiggly one. This is my newest one, but to assist
Wait, we can't continue without knowing his name.
this is Hakeem. This is the youngest of my 3 little ones, and yeah, so if
Okay, yeah, we're good.
move it around, sorry guys. Hopefully, he's not too much of a distraction.
No, Camilla, you're showing us that you can be a professional woman, professional Black woman, and
At
be
the
a
end of
mom
the
at the
day,
same time.
at the end of the day, I don't hide them. So we all, not all of us, but most of us got them, and we have to navigate the world around them, our businesses around them. So yeah.
Sometimes they're adult children too. Let's be real.
Exactly. So, but Black Body Workers, it's an association where basically we're focusing on advancing professionally and personally within the Black Body Workers
And
Association.
that's in your media kit you had written it's about 10% of the population, right?
Yes. So in the spa community, particularly massage, it's significantly a difference in the demographic makeup, especially by race. So about 76% of massage therapists, specifically, we're talking because again, that's who majority makes up the body workers. 76% is white, and second is about 10% is Asian, and then a distant third is Black. So it's far beneath the 10%, but the exact number, it's not really defined because typically in our industry it's not a number that is, or it's not a demographic that's measured, but we know it's significantly less. And it's apparent when we go to conventions, when we see the pictures. Of course, there's the whole stock image issue where we're really not represented very well. Because of that, Black body workers tend to experience a lot of challenges in the work environment, a lot of challenges when it comes to funding for their business, finding resources, and just tips and tools to navigate some issues that do come up within the treatment room and even outside that deal with race. A lot of times, even in professional or networking groups, social media groups, there are racial topics that come up, and when
Especially living in the deep South, like I'm in South Louisiana, compared to a melting pot like New York City, I know the dynamic is very different. Here all kinds of crazy stories down here being in the Deep South. So
Yeah, and so you experience it, and we all see a window into that in our social media groups, where someone may post something that is a bit racially charged, and what happens is Black body workers feel the need to defend themselves, or we get kind of sometimes attacked and saying, oh, well, you just misunderstood, or oh, that person still deserves a massage, but it doesn't deal with the reality that we're still personally dealing with that. We're still personally hurt by that. And a lot of times we don't know how to navigate those situations. And so the Black Body Workers Association really is a, a resource for those out there who are like, look, I just need to be able to have a safe space where I can navigate or discuss openly these issues that are happening either inside or out of the treatment room. I really do want to advance professionally, but I don't see myself represented at some of these associations. I don't see myself represented even just in my workplace.
exactly. You make your own. If you don't see what you're looking for out there, make it yourself. And
exactly.
And by those out there, do you mean both men and women, right? Or is it catered
men
to
and women? Okay. So
Okay.
it's not just a women's only group. Actually, I released yesterday.
Rebecca, I'm not you. I'm not just women only. I like dudes too.
Definitely men are welcome to join the group. The only exclusive piece of it is that you do identify as Black. Obviously there's Black Native Americans, there's Black Hispanic, Latino, things like that. But as long as you identify as Black, you can join the group, and if you identify as a body worker as well.
I think having a safe space is so important, especially in our careers as body workers. I mean, we're one-on-one with people. We're in the treatment room with people. Both the client and the therapist is very vulnerable. So it is important to have that safe space.
Exactly.
And there's always something you said, I do see people a lot online justifying not following their intuition. Male, female, Black, white, Asian. Is this guy a creeper? Like, this guy had a racist tattoo and I felt uncomfortable. What do I do? And I see so many people getting triggered and accusations out there. And it's so important, I think, to have a safe space where we can respond to each other, not react, and be able to have a grown-up adult conversation. And while I see this going on a lot online, I don't see that there's a lot of in-person networking going on for that too.
Well, and right, and that's one of the reasons, the biggest reason why we created the association. But in addition to that, I don't expect the larger associations, like the massage associations and things like that, to be that place that jumps ahead of that issue. Because as we mentioned earlier, when you have an association that is all inclusive, typically they're going to make priority the things that affect the group, the majority of the group. And so if 76% don't deal with these things, then that's not something that's a priority to the bigger part of the group. So and we're not upset about that. I'm not upset about that. I don't expect them to dedicate resources.
If people get upset about it, that means you're doing something right. So keep
I don't expect them to dedicate resources to such a small minority of issues. Now we're people, we want to feel heard, and we want to say, hey, our issues matter, which they do. But instead of expecting an all-inclusive all-inclusive industry to sort out those issues for us, we've decided to pull our resources, and then we can come together as a collective. And if we do bring certain issues to a larger scale, we can do so more organized. We can do so and say, okay, here are the priority of issues that Black body workers deal with, and then we can go out and seek the aid, if we need it, from larger associations like AMTA or ABNP and things like that. But just for the normal things like you were mentioning, when we deal with things in social media groups, like, okay, this person clearly had a racial tattoo on him. How do I deal with this? Should I have ended the massage? How do I discuss that issue with my employer, that I don't feel comfortable working on them? It could have been something they did in the past, but I'm still triggered by it and I don't want to work with them. So I don't expect the larger associations to deal with the smaller issues or the fewer occurrences, because most Black body workers haven't dealt with that either. I've never worked on anyone who had racist tattoos on them that I've noticed during a session. So it's not something that all of us deal with, but the fact that there still are, you know, we're still working with people on such a personal level, you have to feel like there's a place that you can go to win.
It's difficult to know every single little situation and thing that could happen, that could arise. And the larger groups, I mean, associations, they're great, but as you said, it's like politics, they're appeasing the majority. And when you do that, the information it's a little bit more watered down, it's a little bit more vague. They're trying to reach the masses instead of reaching like a smaller group of people. That's how I feel about the human trafficking issue as well. I think the harder we work together, then the more we can bring, you know, light and awareness to the situation and actually start actively making a change. So stop talking and start doing, right? I'm all about action.
Well, that, and it makes it easier place to find the information specifically. You know what I mean? If we're looking for ways to navigate any issue for that matter, even men in the industry, because they're a minority in this industry. So if they're looking for resources for them, they really have to dig into some of the larger associations to find something that specifically answers a question that is unique to their concern or their issue. So the same applies, like you said, like the human trafficking issue. It is a big deal in this industry, but it's not one that we can always expect a larger association to say, yes, I'm going to go grab your issue and I'm going to run it, you know, I'm going to take hold of it and it's going to be the most important thing to us. At some point, we have to be that founder, the one that starts the change and things like that. So hopefully that's what we're doing with Black Bodyworkers. And I hope people
for some reason, I don't know if you've seen that show, The Handmaid's Tale, but that reminded me of that quote that the main character said after the first season. She said, it's something along the lines of, if you didn't want an army, you shouldn't have put us in a uniform. Because now their voices were all like, you know, squashed down. They didn't have any say with anything, but yet they're all in a uniform and they all know they're in the same situation. So why not work together? That kind of reminded me of that quote. I don't know if you've seen the show, but
I have. Actually, the funny part is I've only seen the first season of it.
So watch it all. It's so great. I don't want to go off on a tangent about Handmaid's Tale because I definitely love my Prime TV shows. And I do love to ask like some of my favorite mentors and stuff some questions. And one of my favorite ones is, what's your favorite quote?
That's an easy one. No, that's an easy one. I live by this quote mostly because I'm also a writer. But really it's words have the power to inspire lazy readers to take action. And so it's so powerful to me because I didn't realize the type of influence you can have just by the spoken or written word until that sort of became what I do professionally. So that's the quote I live by. And please don't ask me who said it because I cannot remember.
No, mine is, my grandpa told it to me. It is, yesterday is history, tomorrow's a mystery, and today is a gift.
Yeah.
That's why it's called the present. And that kind of brings me back to awareness. And it pretty much applies to every situation. So obviously you have your little babe there with you and a couple other little munchkins running around. How are you keeping everything balanced and not overwhelmed?
I don't think about it. There is no such thing as balance. I've accepted that a couple of years ago or a couple of kids ago. There's no such thing as balance. Honestly, I work in spurts. So just to give a secret, even if it doesn't sound like a secret or it may not sound like it until you're in it, I work in spurts. So I don't expect to be able to sit down for a full hour to get any focused work done. I don't expect to sit down for 8. Like I basically find my chunks of time when I have it. So like now, if we weren't on this call, then I've only so far got one child up. The other 2 are still asleep, which means I am going to either start writing marketing content. I'm going to engage or interact with my with some clients. I'm going to answer some emails, but one focused thing for either 20 to 30 minutes. And then somebody's going to interrupt me. I have to allow that to happen. And then I know that at some point I'm going to get another 20 to 30 minute burst. And I just have to focus at that point.
I totally feel you. I've been like that lately, and now I totally understand everybody. It's like
that I would get upset, and I'd be like, "No, stop! Leave me alone. I'm trying to work." But because I work from home and my children are home, I've only got one school-age kid at this point. I have to work that way, and I have to be comfortable with being interrupted and just know it happens. And that way I feel like I mentally have control over it. The fact that I'm accepting that this is going to happen. And then, like I said, I just get back to work in those 20 to 30 minute spurts and then call it a day. Yeah.
So apart from being obviously a super mom, what makes you like a total badass? I mean, I know, but I want our audience to know.
Well, that's a really hard thing to say.
It's not your taste for IPA beers. That is not badass.
No.
Kamillya and I had a couple drinks together with our friend Beth Wade in Chicago, and I was like, I did not approve of their choice in beer, but that's a different story.
So honestly, I really don't even know how to answer that question. I'm somebody that, as weird as it seems, I do like to stay behind the scenes. I've worked with a lot of spa and massage business owners over the years, with employees, and really, I just love what I do, honestly. Like, this is one of those things where, and some people know my story, some people don't. I was a massage therapist for a long time, and then my husband, he's in the Army. We moved to Germany. My license lapsed, and I ugly cried. I did not want to leave this industry. I didn't want to end it. I had so much love for it, so started my business, Spa Analytics, and I just held on to it. And even still, through military moves, through 3 kids, through ups and downs of businesses going great, businesses not going so great, I just cannot remove myself from the industry. So I would say, for me, really,
helping a colleague figure out what the hell she wants to do with her business. Yes, you've been pretty badass overall. So I know like a lot of our listeners are, just getting started or like on a budget, and I love to ask my fellow colleagues, like, what's something less than $100 that you've spent on your business that has made like a huge impact? It could be like maybe like a monthly membership, a program, a product, even self-care. Like, self-care is important too.
Yeah. Oh man, less than $100. Yikes.
We were chatting a little bit earlier before I hit record.
Yeah, and that's where I was going. Yeah,
Canva
honestly, that's the first thing that came to mind is Canva, and the reason why, because I think they're slightly over $100 if you purchase their annual whatever. And I know you can do a subscription too, but I just pay for the whole year. But you can also get Canva free, so I guess technically it does fall under 100. But Canva is definitely, especially if you're going to be active on social media, which most people do if you're working on a budget. You're not really sending out direct mailers. You're not really creating large media campaigns and things like that. So definitely Canva, because you can, if you've got your color scheme down, even if you don't have it professionally branded yet, or you don't have your whole brand scheme together just yet, Canva, you can create things in less than 5 minutes. And I swear by it.
You can change them. I think for me, and this is actually around like 100 a month or so, not really for the year. I guess I need to be more specific with my question, but for me, it's having a calling service, because I was missing out on so many phone calls that I was losing money. So I hired a calling service, and that $100 or so a month has made me several $1,000s. So
it really depends on where you're starting at. I 100% agree with you if you're starting and you're especially a solopreneur. But some people, when they start with employees. They start with a larger location, and they're like, I'm jumping in both feet and I'm hiring. But it does work with some people. It just all depends on how well you plan and things like that. So it can work. So that's why my brain didn't immediately go there, because I tend to work with people who do have a staff. But yeah, if you're independent, yeah, I would say, especially starting off, you could potentially be missing calls while you're in the room. You could be missing networking opportunities, other marketing efforts. So yeah, you definitely need answering service.
I think us as Bodyworkers, we give, and we pour so much, for other people. We often, our own vessel drives up. I think it's so important to not spread yourself thin. You don't have to wear 20 hats. You don't have to do everything yourself. That's
a hard concept though to understand in the beginning.
It took me 10 years to figure it out.
Yeah, and so that's why it's like, that'll be advice that everyone always gives and no one listens to, because you don't really understand what that means until you kind of advance and get to the next level after next level after next level. Because there's still things that we're doing now for our business that someone who's further along is like, why are you doing that? Why don't you hand that off or outsource it or automate that? And we're just not there yet. So, you know, some of the things like we just don't know until we're in it and we understand why. It's kind of like a baby learning to walk. I can tell this one that's crawling towards the door right now, don't crawl down the stairs, but he's going to do it until he falls down those stairs. And he's like, oh, that's why she didn't want me to go over there. So sometimes we have to trip and fall, and we learn along the way. And then we come back to those wisdom words from all of those people who are kind of at that next level. And they're like, oh, that's why you said that. Can you tell me a little bit more now?
Yeah, well, that basically boils down to we only know what we're exposed to. Yeah. You know, I mean, you can hear something a million times or read about it online, but unless you're actually in the situation, you're like, oh, now I get it. And you have that epiphany, like.
And that's one of the reasons why I also try to encourage people not to overwhelm themselves with information. Information overload can put a halt to any plans that you have.
Yeah, I'm a walking example of that.
Yeah, and that's why I've removed myself from so many groups, because it's information overload. Sometimes you just have to put your head down and work. You can go back and join them, and if you get overwhelmed again, get out of that stuff.
Yeah, the world's not going to end if you don't respond to one Facebook message.
Yeah, you don't have to do everything right this minute. Like, you can go find the information you need as you're getting to that next hurdle. You don't need to find out all these news, tech things that's coming out, because it's going to change all the time. You don't have to automate every single thing right this instant. You can do things at a snail's pace. You can use pen and paper appointments. You don't have to start off with, so there's a lot of stuff that I do hope that there are resources to get that information, and it doesn't always cost you to get that information. But for the things that you don't need right now, just put it in the back of your mind. You can come back to it and find it later.
So that kind of actually leads me to my next question before we wrap up. But like, what piece of advice would you give somebody like a body worker coming straight out of school, wanting to, dive into self-employment? Like, what advice would you give somebody who's looking?
My advice would be, especially if you've not worked in this industry in a different capacity, because some people, they didn't just go to massage school and then decide, or whatever school you went to, and then decide to be a service provider. Some people started as the front desk. Some people really started as a manager, and then they're like, oh, maybe I want to go do massage. So they may have a little bit more knowledge about the industry from a business perspective than just someone who came fresh out of high school, went to massage school, and then they're looking for employment, or they're like, oh, I can do this myself. So it really all depends on what your previous experience and knowledge is with running a business. But if you're someone that, as we think, okay, I only went to school, I don't know anything about running a business, I honestly would say to work first. You can do this gradually, especially if you don't have the resources saved up to be able to dedicate to marketing, to be able to say, okay, I need at least 6, maybe 8 months until my business builds up for me to be able to pay for my expenses, both personal and business. I would say to work first as that service provider. Understand what you need to do, build your skills, especially if you're trying to be an owner and an operator later. If you're looking to run a business and maybe remove yourself from the treatment room, gradually expand up and become a manager, because then you'll understand what it means to hire employees, to interview those employees, to train those employees, to retain those employees. All of those little things that people don't know and they don't think about because they've never experienced it. So some people, they want to just jump in and say, I'll learn as I go. Other people are like, no, I kind of want to get this experience first. So if you're one of those people, work first in the service with your hands on people so you understand it from that level. Then gradually go to search for a manager position. That's a great way to get that more well-rounded experience. And a lot of times the owner, especially if it's a smaller company, the owner is a bit more transparent with the financial side of things. So you get to see from a different perspective than if you're just trapped in the treatment room. You can't really see all that stuff. So
yeah, it reminds me of a book I read, which this is pretty much in every single business book, but surround yourself with the people you want to be like, you know.
Yeah.
And that, I think, goes a lot for your endeavors and what you're doing with Black Body Workers as well. Like, we need to surround ourselves with those people because we're the sum total of the 5 people, adults, professionals, not children, that we hang out with.
Well, that's just it too. With Black Body Workers, it's not just, okay, this is what you guys should expect from us. We have expectations of our members. So you do have to have a burning desire to advance both professionally and personally. So if you are trying to just be an employee, how are you advancing that? Are you getting more advanced hands-on skills? Are you trying to get management opportunities?
Are you just coming here to bitch and moan?
Right. Are you just coming here? Because that's not what this is. This isn't just a place for you to vent and drag everyone down. We're trying to.
No, you don't enable that type of stuff.
No. You should already know that if you're connected with me in any way, especially in any of my social media groups, we are all about business, and we don't. Let me grab my little one.
He's all about business too.
He bumped his head. That's all. But if you're in one of my groups, then you definitely already know that I was like a drama-free zone. And yes, there's a time to vent and there's a time for us to listen, but we definitely focus on solutions. So if you're coming to vent, then believe that anybody who's responding to you in the comments, they're talking about a solution. And just to give an example without going into names, there was someone earlier, a couple of weeks ago in our Black Body Workers group, who had said that she felt like she wasn't an individual. The management and all the employees kept mistaking her for another Black woman that worked there. And so you get that feeling like people just think all Black women look alike, so on and so forth. Well, she came to vent, but then down in the comments, everyone was like, okay, we hear you, we understand. And then everybody jumped into action. Okay, here's how you should approach it. Here's how you should talk to your supervisor or manager about it. Go to HR. Here's how you can have this conversation. So it doesn't seem like, oh, she's just being irrational. So again, it's very proactive with, okay, how can we find a solution to this? Not let's just complain about the woes of the world, because that's definitely not where we're about.
If there's something that me and you have in common, it's definitely we are both all about finding solutions, not excuses.
Yeah.
And I know you mentioned your Facebook group, and I know your social media channels is at Black Body Workers, but is there any other way that people can find you that might be tuning in?
Well, honestly, that's pretty much where we're starting, because we all the chair members as well, all of us either own a spa or we own a business or we work or whatever the case is.
Facebook or Twitter?
Yeah, it is mostly Facebook, and Instagram has started up as well. It's just not that active just yet, but really Facebook is the biggest piece of the group. The membership actually doesn't officially launch until August 15th. For professionals, it's $99 a year. For students, it's $49 a year. So it's pretty affordable. But outside of the membership and outside of the live challenges and courses and things like that we'll have going on, Facebook group, that's open to all Black Body Workers. You don't have to be a member to join that. And that group on Facebook is Professional Association of Black Body Workers. So if you're looking for that, definitely join, because there's great dialogue there. There's great information there. And it's a wide range of people who either are Black spa owners, managers, just massage professionals, estheticians, instructors. So you've got a wide range. Yeah, definitely.
Yes, and I will put all the social media handles down in the comments below, so check on that. And Kamillya, thank you so much. I'm gonna let you get back to super momming and getting your 20-minute spurts, and we will catch up with everybody later. Thanks, guys.
Super. Thanks, Rebecca. Bye, guys.